Welcome to the Welcome to the JB Show on Revolutionary Blackout Network. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. So good to see all of you here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Just to let you guys know, if you guys have not noticed, every Sunday the JB Show is live in front of you. And if you guys would like to see me further on RBN, you guys can see me on Thursdays for the Savvy and JB Show, and you can see me on my own channel on the JB Font channel on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, if you have not already, please go ahead and give a like to this video if you like what you see and hear. This pushes us out into the algorithm so we can reach more people, so that we can inform and encourage as well. So thank you so very much for that. Now, also, if you have not, you can join our mailing list at revolutionaryblackout.substack.com. This gives you email notifications whenever we go live, upload clips. So you guys have that there. Also, if you guys have any inquiries or if you'd like to submit any stories that you find very, very interesting, you guys can go to revolutionaryblackout@outlook.com. That gives you access to be able to inform us of, hey, I saw this story. I think it would be really interesting for you guys to cover. So thank you very much for that. While we're at it, we're going to say hello to everybody that's in the chat. So it's good to see everybody, and make sure to take that poll if you already know a lot about the story. If you haven't, then you can just wait till the end for a primary story, but it's going to be interesting because I want to see what everybody thinks. But first off, we have Nanzinzi says working class. Yes, we are working class. JW says, hi fam, good to see you. JW says this was not staged. Take the poll. Let me know what you think. Serena says, hi, Nanzinzi and JW. All right, we have Miguel coming in saying peace. Good to see you, Miguel. OG Malton says, and that local PD probably too. PA is very, very, very corrupt. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it is. All right. Sheila B says, hey, y'all. Hey, Miguel. Been a while since I caught a live. Good to see you, Sheila. Crom says, JB, this massive security failure is a mix of incompetence and intentionality. Ooh, let's get into that. Jason Dick says, Sunday banger. Yes, that's what we're going to be doing. Ubik says 5. He says, YouTube not allowing me to message. I can see it here pretty clearly. Good to see you. All right, who else do we have? We have Tan Van. Said, oh, I am not. I got to be good. I got to be good because I know exactly what you're trying to say. I know what you're saying, Tan Van. You're not going to get me in trouble. Randy Bray says, peace, love, and smiles. Good to see you. My homeboy Nico House says, I think I'm going to be hanging out here with the fam until I go live in 30. Happy Sunday, everybody. Good to see you in the house, Nico. Just by the way, if you guys have not, Nico is a friend of RBN, and he has been on here many, many, many times. And just to let you guys know, if you guys have not, you guys can go over to his channel. He has very great insights. Go ahead and give him a sub, too, at his channel. Yeah, I learn a lot from Nico. Nico is good peoples. And cute kids too. You know, you make cute kids, man. Anyway, all right. So let's continue in here. We have Devin coming in saying, hi, JB. Hi, everyone. Oh, yeah. We have Not Yo Ma says peace and oh, yeah. Cheers. Okay. All right. That's what's up. Okay. Good to see you in here. We have Chris coming in saying hello to all. Good to see you, Chris. Nice to have you in the chat as well. Mouse coming in here saying, comrades, good to see you in here, Mouse. Randy says, JB, good to see you. RIP Rafael Alarir says, yo, JB. Hi, Nico. Good to see you. We have ACAB, includes ICE and Border Patrol, says, hey, everyone. We got the people coming in. Simon coming in saying, yo, 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 comrade, looking good. Thank you so very much. You too, Simon. You too. All right. Steve coming in. Steve, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you back. Says, hello, everybody. Steve Wolbrand in the house. All right. Infrared says, hey, everyone. Good to see you. Joseph Hammond says, hello, everyone. All right. Anissa coming in saying, good Sunday, fam. Roger Meadows says, so what's going on in the news today, Jay? Yeah, this is going to be a fun. Look, I know some people are treating this like, oh my God, a tragedy, but all right, moving on. So let's go to Juanita. Says JB, that shit was staged. Ooh. Did you take the poll, Juanita? Go ahead and take the poll. All right. Nico says, much love, JB. Been getting a lot of great feedback from our convo. Oh, for real? That's what's up. Okay, cool. Yeah. By the way, I forgot. We'll DM, but come back on my channel. We'll talk. We'll make it in the next couple of weeks. You know, whenever you got time. I know you're busy. You're on dad duty. You're busy, but we'll make time. All right. We have Ms. Mauser says, I like your plant. Yeah, I love my plant. Actually, this is one of 3. I actually have 2 others, but you can't see them on camera. But I got a couple plants. I'm trying to get the oxygen inside the room. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to relax, relate, release. Those of you who used to watch A Different World know exactly what I'm talking about. Amanda says, JB, I'm liking that option D. Who come up with that brilliance? Urban Cave Girl says, my first live. So excited. Good to see you, Urban Cave Girl. Nice to have you. Welcome. Grab some cookies. Grab some milk. Well, if you're lactose intolerant, then make it some oat milk or some almond milk, whatever. And then put up your feet. Relax. We're going to have a nice conversation in here. Let's do a couple more. Who else we got in here? Oh, it just jumped up on me like that. What in the hell? What the hell is going on between the sheets in my home? Baby, wait, let me explain before you start to put your cane. Oh, I'm about to have a fit. Oh, it's about to be some. How can I get into this? Should have never came home with this. We got DD Geopolitics saying good morning. Good to see you, DD Geopolitics. Also been on the channel. Nice to see you in here too. All right, we have Truth Bearer coming and saying 100% stage. Trump is in WWE HOF for a reason, notorious for fake blood. Ooh-wee. Oh my gosh, you guys are coming in hot today. Truth Bearer says that WWE is known for fake blood and choreography, and they are masters of crowd psychology. Oh, my brother's a big WWE fan. Oh, Jen says, like opening a present and getting drop your sauce and grab your oh my God. All right, so look, we're 10 minutes in. We got to get this show started. What are we talking about today? I got a couple of stories that we're going to get into. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. Within earshot. Y'all see what I did there, right? And then we're going to be talking about a very serious story as well. Attack on Damascus. Yes, in the background, we have a butcher that's in black and white. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about that as well. That's going to be our first story we're going to get into. That's going to be very necessary to get into right now. So before I get into my primary story of the day, which everybody seems to be focused on, something happened yesterday that a lot of people weren't paying attention to, because we were more focused on an ear whereas people's lives were being lost. So let's get into it, because unfortunately, because of the way the news goes, it's if it, the flashiest ones get the flashiest news gets the attention. So let me share this. Let's see here. I had it up already. Okay. Oh, yep. All right. So let's go to this. Let me share my screen really quick. Sorry about that long pause. All right. So hang on. There you go. No, I do not want to continue without supporting. Absolutely. Okay. So this is from Reuters. It says Syria says soldier killed, 3 wounded in Israeli strikes. So this happened over the last 24 hours. It says 1 Syrian soldier was killed and 3 others were injured in an Israeli airstrike against military sites and a residential building in Damascus on early Sunday, the Syrian army said. The army said in a statement that the attacks were launched from the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. For years, Israel has been carrying out attacks, what is described as Iran-linked targets in Syria, where Tehran's influence has grown since it began supporting President Bashar al-Assad in the civil war that started in 2011. Israeli strikes on Syria increased after the start of the war in Gaza last October. Sunday strikes targeted a number of our military sites in the southern region and one of the residential buildings in the Kafar Chaussee area in the city of Damascus, Syrian army said in a statement. Our air defense system confronted an enemy's missiles despite their density and shot down a considerable number of them. So here's the issue. You have this regime, the Netanyahu regime, right? I say the Israeli regime, really, that is continuously doing the duty and the job of the West, particularly the United States, in order to take over the region. And I think we need to sometimes when news happens, sometimes it's like they'll watch the birdie and then we're doing some horrible stuff over here that you can't see, right? And this is one of those stories right here that actually talks about, like, while we were focused on one thing, this is what was happening on the other side of the world. And this is missing a lot of people's view. Now, thankfully, some people in independent media, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. People, for instance, like Richie Medhurst was talking about the attacks that happened in Syria yesterday. And so thankfully, because of him, and thankfully, shout out to member of RBN Orlando chapter, Sabiha, she was like, Damascus just got attacked. I was like, what? So, yes. So this is what's going on. And make no mistake about it. The phrase, I think it was Donald Rumsfeld that said this. Now, Donald Rumsfeld was the Secretary of Defense, I think it was, of George W. Bush. He said, never let a good crisis go to waste. Sometimes the crisis that you may be focused on is something to divert your attention away from what they're really doing and what they don't want you to see, right? Because I'm not even saying the word genocide anymore, because that word has been so diluted that even the word genocide doesn't have as much punch to it, right? This extermination, and make no mistake, because the Zionist Israeli regime sees Syrians just like they see the Palestinians. They're all Arab, therefore they want them eliminated. And on top of that, really, it's part of Greater Israel. It's the part of what's going on when it comes to trying to just take over the region, because ultimately Israel is basically just the attack dog of the West in West Asia. So let's continue in this, and then I also have another article to share with you guys too. So it says Israel's army said its strikes were in response to the launch of 2 drones from Syria towards the north of Eilat on Saturday, which it said it were intercepted. Overnight, the IDF struck a Syrian military command center and infrastructure sites. Additionally, terror targets used the Syrian military's aerial defense unit were struck, it added. So that's basically the long and short of what happened in Syria. However, more carnage has happened in Gaza. So I want to get into that as well, because this is also very important. A lot of people aren't talking about this either. So I just want to share this from Al Jazeera. This is an article that we need to also keep paying attention to. So this says Israel's war on Gaza live, another deadly strike on a UN school. So my question is, first of all, so out of all the schools and the hospitals and the mosques and the refugee camps, and have they really found Hamas there? So now they're going after schools. Well, they've been going after schools, but continuously going after schools. This is Israel. So it says, Gallant says pursuit of Hamas to continue for many years. The Israeli Defense Minister Darth Gallant has said that the pursuit of Hamas terrorists will continue for many years, including those who took part in the October 7th attack. Addressing the Israeli fighter pilots in the Nevatim Air Base, Gallant said that Hamas members from the most senior as you acted against yesterday to those terrorists in the field would be chased down. On Saturday, Israel conducted a strike at the Al-Mawasi refugee camp near Khan Younis. It claimed to have targeted Mohammed Diaf, the head of Qassam brigades, and claim Hamas dismissed. Israel also said today that the strike, which killed at least 90 people, took the life of Rafi Salama, the commander of Hamas Khan Younis brigade. Gallant told the pilots that Israel's main objective was to return the captives held in Gaza by Hamas and other groups. I'm going to call bullshit on that. You want to know why? Because the Hannibal Directive, they don't care about the hostages. It has been proven time and time again that Israel does not care about their own people. Israel is a Zionist, anti-Semitic state that doesn't give a damn about Jewish people. If Israel actually did give a damn about Jewish people, the Hannibal Directive would not exist, because the lives of those people are precious, but not according to the imaginary state. And this is what we see. They will continuously massacre and exterminate whoever they can out of the region, because it's all a land grab. Make no mistake about it. The UN even put it out. They found hundreds of thousands of tons of liquefied natural gas underneath Gaza. They want to build the Ben Gurion Canal to compete with the Suez Canal in Egypt. They also found many, many tons of oil off the coast of Gaza. You think that this is just because a religious thing? Absolutely not. Religion ain't got nothing to do with this, baby. Follow the money. Settler colonialism is a battle for resources. And if anybody ain't told you that, consider it your introduction. Hello, welcome to RBN. Because the rich, and by the rich, I'm talking about the billionaires in the West, are constantly wanting to extract as many resources as they can. Israel's a tool. Israel is a tool of the West in order to extract resources from a people that have resided in that region for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Because they want their shit. Let's continue. It says the armed wing of Palestinian Islamic Jihadists said its fighters shelled a group of Israeli soldiers in the vicinity of the destroyed airport east of Rafah. Now, hang on. Let's stop here for a second. So the PIJ basically said, oh, yeah, we targeted IEF soldiers because what? They're occupying stolen land that does not belong to them. So, of course, they got attacked. And they're soldiers. So, therefore, that's not much. That's part of their job. That's what they signed up for. Let's continue. They also said that they shelled a military command center east of Netzarim corridor, which named after a Jewish settlement in Gaza that was dismantled in 2005 and set up during the war by the army to separate northern Gaza from the south. Shelled a group of soldiers and military vehicles at the entrance to the destroyed Rafah border crossing its vicinity. Targeted positions of Israeli soldiers in the areas of Jaybe, Al-Tuma, and Burj al-Asi, all southwest of Ibna refugee camp in the city of Rafah. Killed and wounded an unspecified number of soldiers who had entered a house east of Rafah using light and anti-personnel weapons. So that's what happened yesterday. So when it comes to the slaughter that's consistently happening, they're going into Damascus, right? They're also constantly going into Lebanon and trying to essentially take over. They're trying to take over Lebanon. They're trying to take over Syria. It's basically the Greater Israel Project. It's never to defend the region. And I know there's like the IDF, the word defense is inside their name, but it's never defense. It's always the goal of occupation. So I want us to focus a lot on who is being harmed, especially in this region. Try to keep our eyes on the ball when it comes to these very deep and solid subjects, like what's going on right now in Damascus, what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Congo, what's going on in places like Sudan, especially in the capital Khartoum, what's going on in Haiti. Let's keep our eyes on the ball, because the thing is that the United States knows that we are easily distracted. We tunnel vision. We're easily distracted. Especially, I want you guys to keep an eye on what's going on geopolitically as soon as the Olympics start. Do not take your eyes off the ball. Because these people will do, these corporate parasites will do some underhanded things when you're not looking. Bread and circuses, baby. That's what it is. So be mindful of when something happens and it goes viral. Start looking in places where they don't want you to. Start looking at the policies that are being pushed by, for instance, Supreme Court. Or if Congress is in session, what laws are they passing that you may not be privy to? That may be extremely dangerous. I remember it was a few years ago. I think it was right at the end of the year. I can't remember which year, but it was around New Year's Eve, where Congress came in and passed the defense bill, the NDAA. And nobody knew about it, but very few people. And so while everybody was celebrating New Year's Eve, they just was like, slide it underneath. So always make sure to keep an eye on what they're trying to do underhanded. So my heart goes out to the people right now in Gaza, as well as Damascus. Please keep them in your thoughts and don't stop fighting until the people in these regions are fully liberated, because we save us. All right, go ahead and give the video a like. Pushes me out into the algorithm. So thank you so very much to everybody that is watching so far. Now, let's get to the chat. We got some people who got some thoughts. All right. Let me see. Danny says Palestinians distinct from Arab. Then why do they call Palestinians Arabs? And why do Palestinians call themselves Arab? I mean, you know. Interesting. Barrett says, for perspective, I dated an oral surgeon from Damascus. His father was a UN engineer. These people are smart and accomplished, as are the Palestinian, while Americans dress like hell and look like hell. Oh, gosh, that's hilarious. Do I look like hell right now? I don't think so. Great Bentine says Hamas isn't attacking the UN. So why isn't the UN there everywhere in Gaza? Because of the UFS. Yep. Oh, man. Let me see. Let me see. Oh. Mouse says, didn't Turkey announce a seeking diplomatic solution with Syria just before the attack too? I got to look into that, but I wouldn't be surprised, especially now what's going on in Gaza. You know, a lot of the Arab countries really want to just coalesce and just stop, you know, the bloodshed. I know that Saudi Arabia is now becoming more softer in how they approach their relations with Palestine too. So, you know, I'm hopeful that they, you know, become more of a united front as well. Let's go to. Oh, now your mama says that Chuck D debate was fire, by the way. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let me see. Roger says, and always remember, a Semite is not attached to a religion, but a region. If my blackness converted to Judaism, that wouldn't automatically make me a Semite. Why? Because I have no ancestral ties to that region. Yeah. Semites really are part of that region. It's also a part of language because Hebrew, Arabic, and I forgot the other language, but those are Semitic languages. So therefore, people who are part of that region are Semites. Just like Latinos are people who speak a Latin language, and are from an area that was colonized by a Latin language speaking country, which also makes Haitians Latino because French is a Latin language. So therefore, just like French or Creole is a Latin language, Spanish is a Latin language, Portuguese is a Latin language. This is why you can also call Brazilians Latino, because even though they speak Portuguese, it is a Latin language. So the same thing goes for people in the region of West Asia. So you have Qatar and Saudi Arabia, UAE, Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, Palestine. Yeah. So, they speak the languages that are Semitic. So they are essentially Semites. You also have Black Semites as well. So a lot of them also come from the East Africa, the Horn of Africa, and things like that. So yes, thank you very much for that, Roger Meadows. Chris C says it's all about the money. Yes, absolutely. Joe says wrong religion has everything to do with it. No, you're wrong, Joe. I'm going to tell you why. Because the thing is like not all Zionists are Jewish. Donald Trump is a Zionist. Joe Biden's a Zionist. Barack Obama's a Zionist. Hakeem Jeffries is a Zionist. Are they Jewish? Or do they practice the religion of Judaism? No. And if it was all religious, then guess what? Then some of the groups who are fighting as Palestinian resistance fighters would be all religious, but some of them aren't. Just like the PFLP is a secular group of people who are communists, Marxists, Leninists that are actually fighting against the Zionist state. So no, it is not religious. By the way, also the extermination of Palestinians that's going on right now, just because they're a Palestinian doesn't mean that they're Muslim. Has nothing to do with religion, because some Palestinians are Christian, some Palestinians are Jewish, some Palestinians are atheists, and yet they're still being exterminated. So I would implore you to actually research a little bit more and realize this has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with settler colonialism. This has everything to do with actually trying to get rid of a people of a region just so that they can take it over. That's it. So I urge you to stick around and continue to watch RBN so that you can learn this aspect. Also, if I can, I would like to direct your attention to some people who also might be good education. You have Norm Finkelstein, you have Max Blumenthal, you have Aaron Mate, you have Abby Martin. Katie Halper is also really good on this issue. So you have many different people who are Jewish who can also teach you on this issue as well. It has nothing to do with religion. All right, so let's go to. I'm gonna do one more. Wait, did I get a super chat? Oh, nothing new. Okay. All right. And Christie says they use religion as a cover-up, like Zelensky uses his Jewish faith, but surrounds himself with Nazis in his leadership. Yeah. George Hashbaj, founder of the PFLP, was Christian. Thank you so much. All right. So let's get into the next story. Do I really want to look? I'm gonna try to seem serious. Oh, this tea is good. I'm gonna try to be serious. All right. Don't y'all make me laugh in their chat. Within earshot, lose yourself in the music, you know, but you better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. The opportunity comes within the lifetime. So yesterday, Donald J. Trump got the graze of a lifetime. Someone decided to try to smoke him, and Donald Trump got grazed. They missed him. There's a lot of people that's talking about this story, and for good reason. Former president on the campaign trail. Donald Trump is a polarizing figure, and a lot of people have seen the rally, as to what happened. I can't show the actual rally and what happened to Donald Trump. Now, there's a lot of people who are saying that it is staged. There's a lot of people that's saying that it's serious. Yesterday, when I heard the news, I was actually with the RB in Orlando chapter. We were planning our next action. I didn't get to do a image post for it, but we're going to be doing something on August 4th. So just mark that in your calendars, and then we'll, as we get about 2 weeks away, then we'll give you guys a time and an area where we'll be meeting up. But August 4th, we'll be doing our next action on the ground for direct action for mutual aid. But this is where I heard the news. And so we were talking about it. And we were actually watching the clip of it happening. Now, if you want to watch the actual clip of the shooting that happened, you can go on Twitter. It is there. And you can go ahead and watch it. Due to the sake of it being a gunshot, I cannot show it here on YouTube. We have to be careful. But I can show a reenactment. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, Black TikTok and Black Twitter are undefeated, baby. I got it. I cannot say, look, they are undefeated. Let's get into it. So this is a reenactment of what happened yesterday via Black Twitter. Let's go.
If you want to really see something that said, Mr. President, hey, I got some old ketchup in my pocket. Oh, yeah, he did that. Hold on, let me taste it. Where you get that from? Hey, shit, this is for my birthday. Oh, we gotta celebrate this. You got that ketchup for birthday? Yeah, put your fist up.
right. So, needless to say, he's still alive. And the only serious part that I will really focus on is the fact that someone was harmed besides the president, and another person that was at the rally was killed. So we were first under the impression that it was a BB gun, but then once we heard it, one of the members of the chapter was like, that was no BB gun. No, that was way too loud. So that's what we have seen. Now, let's go and talk about the story. Who was the person that shot at Trump? Well, that person is now dead. Secret Service agents have killed the person who shot at Trump. We will never really truly know their motives, their true motives, besides wanting to execute a former president. But this is the article here out of the New York Post. It says Thomas Matthew Crooks ID'd as gunman who shot Trump during the Pennsylvania rally. So this came out. It says the gunman who attempted to assassinate former President Donald Trump Saturday was identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, squeezed off at least 5 to 7 shots, one of which grazed Trump in the ear at an outdoor rally in Butler, just outside of Pittsburgh, according to law enforcement sources. Sources said Crooks crawled onto the roof of a manufacturing plant more than 130 yards away from the stage at a Butler Farm show grounds. Hang on. My question is, how in the hell did he get within 130 yards away and Secret Service didn't catch that? Some people are saying this is staged. And if it's not, this is a big oversight. And somebody's about to get fired. All right, so let's continue. So this is the shooter when he was a kid, Thomas Matthew Crooks. And then they actually shot the guy dead. I cannot show that too much because he's deceased. So this is them going to the alleged shooter's home after the shooting. And then this is Donald Trump right after he got grazed in the ear by a bullet. And this image is going to go all over, and we're not going to see the end of this image until November. Watch. It says he was killed by Secret Service snipers. Authorities recovered an AR-style semi-automatic rifle from that scene. He also was wearing a shirt from the popular gun YouTube channel called Demolition Ranch. It says Bethel Park is a village 40 miles south of where the Butler rally was held. According to state voter records, Crooks was a registered Republican. It says the shooter made one singular $15 donation to the Liberal Act Blue Political Action Committee on January 20th, 2021, Biden's inauguration day. That was reported by The Intercept. So here is his voter record. So the party is Republican. So that's what it is. That's him. Now, it says at the time of the donation, Crooks was 17 years old. He registered to vote upon turning 18 in September of that same year as a member of the GOP. It says Crooks was a member of the 2022 graduating class at Bethel Park High School. The school district confirmed Sunday morning. Video shows him walking across stage to accept his diploma. Says he also received a $500 National Math and Science Initiative Star Award during his graduating year. Why Crooks fired upon the presumptive Republican presidential nominee is unclear. Early Sunday, the FBI officially confirmed the Post reporting, calling Crooks the subject involved in the attack on Trump. Says the streets around Crooks' house were blocked off by police. A neighbor told the Post that he saw an Allegheny County bomb squad preparing to enter the home shortly after 1 a.m. He said, I saw a post of his name and that he lived in Bethel Park. So I looked him up and he lives a third of a mile away. Dan Maloney said, so let's continue. So this is the shooter right before he attacks Trump. He says, I went down there and spoke to the county bomb squad at 106. He said he was about to go into the house. I didn't know the guy. No one in this neighborhood really talks to each other. It's a tragedy. One person died. Another person's in a hospital. He went after a former president and likely the next president. So the sad part is that, you know, one person was harmed and another person lost their life. So this is a dumpster fire. So let's continue this, because I honestly do think there's a part of me that's looking at some of the things that happen. And some things just don't add up. But at the same time, it's like sometimes these things do happen and things just do not add up coincidentally. I want to go here because Fiorella Isabel actually posted some points that I think are worth at least considering. So she gives a thread or a long post. She said, things not adding up in my assessment of Trump's assassination attempt. She said, one, a deep state assassination attempt wouldn't be this sloppy and usually has a story and background figured out quickly. Doesn't mean it couldn't be party operative or offshoot. Two, Trump does benefit from this, but it doesn't seem like something he would construct at all. And he didn't really need it thanks to Biden's disasters. He was hurt and is already gaining sympathy and fundraising off this. Biden is also not going to be talked about. Now, I said earlier, this is basically going to make Trump look like a martyr. Now, I know a martyr actually a person has to actually die to be a martyr. But the Trump voters don't care about that. The GOP doesn't care about that. It's the attempt on his life that is going to make it a bigger thing. Like, oh my God, Donald Trump's life, somebody attempted to take him out. And so now I feel like his win is all but guaranteed now. Now, do I think that we should still support? If you are still supporting a third party, keep going. Do not stop. Maybe, just maybe, some people will wake up and go, man, this duopoly, man, they're so divisive. I'm going to go third party. I'm hoping more people go that route, but we'll see. But I honestly do think that this is going to make a Donald Trump win more sure. If this gentleman that decided to go after Trump thought that even if he missed, that somehow this would go well for the Democrats, you were wrong. This is not going to go the way the Democrats want. And by the Democrats, I'm talking about the people who were kind of secretly hoping something like this would happen. But make no mistake, I'm gonna say it like this. This situation is chickens coming home to roost. Because the Democrats, the language y'all used contributed to this. Just like when the Republicans and the right-wingers contribute to language that contributes to, especially those of us who are marginalized, when we get harmed, guess what? The Democrats do the same thing. Let's continue. She said, Secret Service lackadaisical attitude, not listening to witnesses who saw the shooter or having security detail be more vigilant. But then again, they have notoriously been suspect, and Trump should have been aware. 4, they blew the shooter's brains out, so there's no interrogation of the crucial subject. We know next to nothing on who he was besides the photos. 5, after this incident and others, there could be a further expansion of the surveillance state, where the First and Second Amendments come under even more scrutiny and become powerless. This right here, what Fiorella just said, is a major point. Because make no mistake about it, if you think the national security state is bad now, they used January 6th to strengthen the national security state. They used that. You don't think they're not going to use this too? Come on now. This is why we need to be vigilant and build dual power. Because ultimately, when stuff like this happens, they use this as an opportunity to hammer down even more on people like us. Like, for instance, the George Floyd protests were massive. Now we have dozens of cop cities popping up all over the country because they saw the power of the people and they got scared. It's the same thing now. J6 happened. We got to ramp up security and basically clamp down more on people's rights. Now this happens. It's going to happen even more. So, yeah, that was a great point by Fiorella. 6, what this is already doing is further dividing the U.S. public into blaming different groups and could arouse a counterattack from the right or other dissidents, leading to a civil war. Now, do you think this can happen? This can turn into a civil war? I don't know. She continues, says 7, I'll add that these are video images of the shooter on the roof being seen by more witnesses. How this wasn't stopped is beyond odd. 8, forgot to mention Trump stopping and saying fight after this moment is very odd. And the slowness again of the security is also off, especially after all the t-shirts made. What a perfect money shot. Nothing about this incident screams genuine. Also, I want to say that when it happened, if you're watching, the angle of the camera is far away, but then right before he gets shot, the camera angle switches and is focused on him. And I'm like, that's too convenient. It's too convenient, right? Now, is it a coincidence or is it something more? I can't say, because I really don't know. Because sometimes things happen coincidentally. And that's just the way things go. But it's really convenient to me. And now you got t-shirts with that image of Trump with his fist in the air already being sold. Already. Trump is getting massive amounts of donations right now. Take the poll. Tell me what you think. But it's too convenient, man. But at the same time, it's just like, oh my gosh. So I want to go here because Barack Obama decided to chime in after that happened. And here's what he has to say. Barack Obama says there's absolutely no place for political violence in our democracy. Although we don't yet know exactly what happened, we should all be relieved that former President Trump wasn't seriously hurt and use this moment to recommit ourselves to civility and respect in our politics. Michelle and I are wishing him a quick recovery. Now, there's a point that I want to get to, but before that, you want to talk about, hang on. He said he wants to talk about there's absolutely no place for political violence in our democracy. Isn't that the chamber pot calling the toilet white? Because last I remember, Barack, you murdered an American citizen and his 16-year-old son, and you want to talk about violence has no place in our democracy? The hypocrisy is at its highest with people like Barack Obama. You, sir, turned 2 wars into 7. 7 wars. But according to Barack Obama, there's absolutely no place for political violence in our democracy. The calls from it come from inside the house, Barack. And you and everybody between the Republican and Democratic parties have perpetuated this from its inception. All of you, every single one of you. I don't want to hear nothing from either side, Republican or Democrat, because you guys are all on the same side and you have perpetuated this violence. Why? And you guys are using this to your own ends, by the way. This is very convenient for them. Because make no mistake about it, the Republican and Democratic parties are all together on this. And when the national security state starts clamping down on our rights, it's because they actually wanted it to happen. Because their bosses, the parasite class, want it to happen. And now they got to come out and go, oh, there's no place for violence. Yet you were one of the main purveyors of violence in the 21st century. You were. You, your predecessor, George W. Bush, his predecessor, Bill Clinton. Yes, Donald Trump also, yes. Might remember Qasem Soleimani, who I'm getting my war criminals mixed up. But Qasem Soleimani was murdered by Donald Trump. Chickens coming home to roost. Joe Biden, Genocide Joe, is paying for an extermination of Palestinian people. Chickens will come home to roost. I'm going to quote the Bible for you. What a man is sowing, this he will also reap. You reap what you sow. Guess what? Donald Trump is reaping what he sows. And eventually Barack Obama will reap what he sows. George W. Bush will reap what he sows. Joe Biden will reap what he sows. And Bill Clinton will reap what he sows. That's what it is. And I find it funny how you want to say this, and yet I love what Scott Ritter said. Scott Ritter actually responded. Let's blow it up here so you guys can see. Hey, Scott Ritter says, quote, there is one existential threat. It's Donald Trump, end quote. Those are the words of President Joe Biden. Maybe it's time you familiarize yourself with what the term existential threat means and what the logical solution for such a threat is. Biden green-lighted this assassination attempt. And so have you with your irresponsible rhetoric. You and Biden are at the head of the political apparatus that has openly advocated for the termination of Donald Trump as a political force in America. You pulled the trigger on the would-be assassin gun yesterday by the force of the words you used to describe Trump. If you do not want to be the cause of the republic you once led devolving into open civil war, you must cease and desist on encouraging the demonization of Trump and instead focus on healing the nation. Americans survived under the 4 years of Trump. We cannot survive a civil war. Be the leader that you once were. Heal the nation. Stop the rhetoric of personal demonization that triggered the attempted assassination against the former President Trump. Now, here's my thing. Ultimately, Barack Obama is incapable of healing the nation. A war criminal of his pedigree is incapable of healing the nation. None of these presidents have the ability to heal this nation. And by the way, attempts like what happened on Donald Trump's life are as American as apple pie. Abraham Lincoln just entered the chat. Do we need reminding of what happened to Ronald Reagan back in the 80s? This has been happening for years because the political divide, the polarization between the both parties is manufactured in order to keep us separate, to keep the working class separate. And you think that, and respect to Scott Ritter, but my thing is there's no healing this from the Democrat or Republican parties. There's none, because they don't want to. They're not interested in healing anything. The divide is the means. Keeping the divide is their cash cow. That's what it is. They're not interested in uniting the nation. Because if the nation was actually united, they'd be in trouble. But yeah, it is also the fault of both parties for their rhetoric, for perpetuating this. Now, Margaret Kimberly, also as affectionately known as Auntie Margaret, had this to say. And this is such a good point. Margaret Kimberly says, quote, political violence has no place in our country, end quote. She said, well, it sure as hell has a place in the rest of the world. And look at this. This is U.S. military and CIA intervention since World War II. In red, it is the targeted countries. The explosions are U.S. bombings. And then the arrow is U.S. assassination plots. Look. So when Barack Obama says that there's no room for violence in our democracy, well, somebody should have told him and all of his fellow presidents that. Somebody should have told him that. Because this seems to be the trend that goes around throughout the entire history of the United States. You want to talk about no violence in our democracy? Let me ask you this. Why am I here? Why was my ancestors brought here? There's no violence that should be in our democracy. Anybody want to talk to the indigenous people of Turtle Island? Come on now, Barack. You and I both know that violence in this democracy is as American as apple pie too. Chickens coming home to roost. Now, let's continue because there's some other points that I want to make. So there was a gentleman that pointed something out. I want to make sure I get, yeah, here it is. So some people were sharing this interview that happened with BBC. And always pay attention to the witnesses that are interviewed right after something happens, because sometimes these interviews will go into obscurity and you'll never see them again. So let's go here. Somebody was recording. BBC live witness testified that he saw Trump shooter crawling across the roof with a rifle for a few minutes, while police and Secret Service ignored him despite having been shown the shooter earlier. And as you guys can see, you guys can read that. Let's listen.
Bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots rang out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at them for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? This is not a big place.
Did you see, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, we just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
It's incredibly shocking.
The guy was on the roof right there. You can see the white roof right there.
Did you get a look at him? Could you?
No, other than he was in muted colors, tan type clothing. We saw the rifle flinging around as he was trying to crawl I mean, we saw the rifle, 100%.
Do you know about guns? Do you know what kind of weapon it was?
Oh, I absolutely know about guns, for sure.
Yeah,
No, I mean, it was a rifle of some sort. I wouldn't know, I wasn't close enough to read the label on it, but
sure. But
it was a rifle of some sort. Yeah, absolutely.
So, how do you process what you just seen?
Take the poll. Take the poll. Do you think it was staged? Do you think it wasn't? I don't know. But the thing is that honestly, if it wasn't, that was a huge oversight by Secret Service. Massive oversight. All right. So I also have something else that I want to bring out as well. So there was a point made by Ajimo Baraka, friend of RBN. He said Democrats are trying to pretend they have nothing to do with the cultural context that could have motivated an individual to attempt to pull off what they saw as a patriotic duty to eliminate an existential threat to the nation. The chickens have really come home to roost. Yeah, that's what they did. Y'all, you don't think the Democratic Party doesn't have influence on just random voters? Of course, a lot of them do. Now, there's one person who definitely thinks it was staged. It was comedian and actress Amanda Seales. Let's hear what she has to say. I'm curious.
That shit was more staged than a Tyler Perry production of Medea Runs for President. I lived in Harlem long enough to know that gunshots do not sound like making popcorn on the stove.
Okay, can't. Okay.
Pop, pop, pop. Where'd the blood come from? So in theater, in movies, they have what's called blood pellets. They even, people use them in Halloween. It's basically a pellet of fake blood that's in your mouth, and when you crush it, the blood comes out. To be frank, Small Hands Trump would not respond by raising his fist in the air triumphantly were an actual attempt made on his life. This was, I believe, done to try to show his strength counter to Biden's fragility. But oh my God. Molly, you in danger, girl.
That's one person, at least, that thinks it wasn't serious. My question is, was Donald Trump actually truly harmed? Well, you guys want to see him a few hours after that? I mean, if it was a graze, and of course he'd get seen and checked out, but I mean, this person says this man just got shot in the ear. It was a graze. And here he's walking down the steps of the plane the same night. Oh, he's a warrior. Bullshit. Warrior my ass. Anyways, so let's just see here. So there you have it. He's coming down the stairs. This is after what happened. So he's perfectly fine. You know, I don't necessarily see, because it happened on his right ear. I'm not sure if he has a bandage on it or not, because you can't see from that angle. But was it staged? Was it not? What matters is, honestly, to me, is this is going to further keep workers divided. That's ultimately what I feel like this is going to do. And this division is constantly being pushed by the duopoly because they do not want us to unite. Dave Smith called it out. Dave Smith said, how the F can you say he's literally Hitler and democracy is on the line, but we wish him a speedy recovery and political violence is never acceptable. If you have been saying any of that insane-ish, then at least have the integrity to admit that this is the logical conclusion of your lies. In short, what Dave Smith is saying, chickens come home to roost. This is what they said. This is what they've been saying. But the thing is that it's all a ploy to keep the United States divided. That's what it is. And then people are like, oh my God, it's going to reach a civil war. The thing is because the duopoly wants a civil war. They want it to get to that. They want working people to go after each other. Who benefits from that? Of course, the police state benefits. Now, the shooter actually put out a video talking very shortly about politics, but here he goes. This is the shooter.
My name is Thomas Matthew Crooks. I hate Republicans. I hate Trump. And guess what? You got the wrong guy.
So even if it wasn't staged, whose fault is this happening? Whose fault is it? It is the duopoly. I blame both parties. In fact, that same young man was actually in a BlackRock commercial. I'm not sure if I can actually show the commercial. So I'm not necessarily going to show the commercial, but the BlackRock commercial, Hotspot actually shared it. But this is the still from the commercial, and this is the shooter when he was in school. So 50 Shades of Way says Trump's shooter is seen in the BlackRock commercial at 4 seconds and 19 seconds. Kind of interesting how he showed up in a BlackRock commercial. Coincidence? I don't know. But my point is that this is why we have to leave the duopoly, because they're constantly trying to turn people against each other. Now, here's another point that a lot of people are saying is, questioning whether it was staged or not. Shout out to Hotspot. It's an inside job. So this is 7 minutes, 21 seconds before the shots. They have a bird's eye view with binoculars, and you mean to tell me that they just do not see that guy?
That's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever.
It says already looking down the scope 42 seconds before the shot.
In recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Okay, so I can't play that sound, but let me continue. But it says they did not take the shot. Interesting. So if it wasn't staged, I'm going to be real with you. Somebody messed up real bad and somebody's about to get fired. At the very least. Now, there's also a gentleman that he was very upset after the shooting, and he directed his ire towards the media. And I have something to say on that too, but let's listen to what this gentleman says. This is right after.
You remember, this is your fault. You. This is your fault. Every last one. This is your fault. This is your fault. You. This is your fault. This is your fault. This is your fault. You.
So I'm going to say this. Does this fall on the fault on the corporate media? Yes. But it's not just MSNBC. It's not just CNN. It's not just ABC and CBS. Fox News is also complicit. One American News Network is also complicit. News Nation is also complicit. All of the corporate media is complicit because it fits the narrative that they want to paint, that America is divided to keep the workers divided. Every single one of them. This is why we talk about supporting independent media, because they're involved. They're part of the dissemination of making sure that we stay divided. That's who it is. Make no mistake, it's a big club and you ain't in it. And these people, the corporate media, including the right-wing corporate media, are also complicit in this. Because whether it is trans people being targeted and shot at, or Donald Trump being shot at, they also perpetuate the violence that is happening and the division that's happening between workers in this country. So I want to make no mistake that the complicity in this is corporate media, both Democrat and Republican parties, and the parasite class, because they pay these people to peddle this. That's ultimately what it is. And they're not going to say that. They're going to say, well, it was just like the right-wing corporate media is coming, well, it was a lone gunman and he probably had some type of mental health issues. That's what they're going to say. Then the other side is going to say, well, look at, we need to stop, we got to go after these guns and stuff like that. They're going to go after all the things that they're going to go after surface level stuff. They're never actually going to go after the deep stuff. They're never going to address that. They're always going to address it from a symptom. They're going to want to treat the symptoms of the problem. They never want to treat the underlying cause. And the underlying cause of a lot of these problems is actually the system that we actually live in. Because we literally have 12% rise in homelessness since last year. Right? We have an influx of undocumented immigrants coming in because our country cannot stop messing with these countries that they're coming from because they don't want to stop destabilizing these countries. So it's causing an influx of them coming in, so making more victims from people coming from the global south. We're constantly being shot at by police, especially those of us who are, more richer in melanin. Then on top of that, you have a whole bunch of other host of issues regarding class. A lot of us, we cannot, afford a $400 emergency. Why are people so upset? Why are we going to either one side of the duopoly or the other? Because we're desperate. Because of desperation. And then in their desperation, you try to pit people, one against the other in order to maintain this division. This is why class consciousness is so important, because class consciousness will tell you to basically look past all that mess and look at who benefits. It's not really a left and right thing. It's actually a top-down thing. It is an exploiter versus the exploited. That's what it is. But they don't want you to know that. And they want you to look at other people who are powerless in order to keep stuff like this happening. They want, if you're a conservative person, they want you looking at somebody that's trans or somebody that is from the global south that's coming in here. They want you to look at them like they're the enemy, even though they don't have power. If you're on a liberal side, then they want somebody who probably lives out in the country or in rural America that has certain values. They want you to look at them like a bunch of, overly religious gun nuts and say, well, they're, we don't have nothing to do with them. When in reality, ultimately, yes, do we need to come together? And yes, do we need to start looking past these social issues? We need to start looking past it and start seeing ourselves in one another. That also means throwing away some of these prejudices that we may have, this bigotry that we may have against other people too, in order to do that. But that's a whole nother conversation. But that's perpetuated constantly. And then the piece de resistance is how every single person who is in office have been saying the same message. So AOC, we'll start off with her. AOC says there is no place for political violence, including the horrific incident we just witnessed in Pennsylvania. It is absolutely unacceptable. It must be denounced in the strongest terms. My heart goes out to the victims, and I wish the former president a speedy recovery. Y'all talked about him like he was the next Hitler, and now you're saying you want him to have a speedy recovery? Let's go to the next one. Let's go to Hakeem Jeffries. It feels kind of coordinated too. Hakeem Jeffries says, my thoughts and prayers are with the former President Trump. I'm thankful for the decisive law enforcement response. America's democracy. Political violence of any kind is never acceptable. Yet you guys are literally committing political violence, an extermination of Palestinian people in Gaza right now. You guys are literally paying for that extermination. And you guys are talking about, oh, there's no place for political violence. Baby, the calls coming from inside the house so loud it's deafening. Sit down, Hakeem Jeffries. Sit your ass down. You have no whatsoever any type of moral standing at all in this. sounding just like Barack. And there's another. And then we have Joe Biden. Genocide Joe. Genocide Joe says, I have been briefed on the shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I am grateful to hear that he is safe and doing well. If he's an existential threat, then why are you praying for his safety and for him to do well? That's what you guys were talking about. You said democracy's on the line. That means he's anti-democratic. Says, I'm praying for him and his family and for all those who are at the rally as we await further information. Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service for getting him to safety. Here we go. There's no place for this kind of violence in America. We must unite as one nation to condemn it. Oh, yeah, there's no place for political violence in the United States. And yet we literally had a war to end slavery in this country. So all the Democrats are now coming out and going, oh, well, we should condemn this violence. Hell, even Dr. Cornel West was like, well, I condemn this violence and there's no place for this. And I'm praying for President Trump's safety. And I'm like, wait a minute. Dr. West, didn't you call him a fascist? Didn't you say he was a fascist dictator? I agree. He is a fascist dictator. But so is also Biden, Obama, Trump, Clinton, Bush. They all are. They all should honestly be locked away and sent to a re-education camp to reorient them with their humanity. They deserve to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law chosen by the people. And so chickens coming home to roost. And that's what it has been. And the people who lost the most is one person who lost their life and somebody got hurt. Take the poll, y'all. So for some brevity, let's hear from Miss Imani, also known as Crutches and Spice. I love her takes. She's pretty spot on a lot of things. And then we'll get to the chat. So the reply says, it looked fake as F though. Let's see what she has to say.
This comment reads, it looks as fake as fuck though. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry to have to tell you, like, it doesn't really matter, like, even in the slightest. The picture itself is the story. The picture of him raising his fist beneath the American flag is going to be the story, regardless of whether it was faked or not. And quite frankly, over the last few weeks, post-debate, Democrats and liberals especially have given into conspiratorial thinking. A couple of videos back, I can link it below, but a couple of videos back, I did a whole post about how they were talking about camera angles at the debate and how the sound was off and CNN messed with the sound. Not to mention the multiple posts from Democrats making lists of people asking Biden to step down because anything against Biden was a threat to the campaign. So regardless of what conspiracy theories fly right now, it will not matter. Because not only do you have that picture, but the Democrats have fallen into conspiratorial thinking, which discredits anything they say regarding this being a conspiracy. You know what I mean? Again, just remember, the picture is the story.
And the picture is now a fundraising tool. And now it's ushered more people to continue in this division. And yes, this happened. And as we continue to allow this division to happen, allow ourselves to be maneuvered and manipulated by both parties, of course, you're going to keep seeing this as, oh, well, of course, some person who is inspired to do this is you're going to have more people. You're going to have more people who will want to be copycats, because a duopoly ultimately keeps pushing this division. In order to truly unite, number one, you have to have class consciousness and start looking at people between the exploiters and the exploited. Workers are the exploited, and you need to unite with them. I don't care if that person that you have to unite with has stubble and wearing a dress with some high heel shoes. I don't care. Look, put that bigotry to the side and unite with them as a worker. I don't care if that person doesn't hardly speak a lick of English and they don't have papers for being here, but they're working their ass off here. Look, they're also being manipulated. They're also being exploited too. I don't care if that person looks like me, got long locks, got tattoos everywhere, and their pants sag. I don't care. If they're a worker, you need to put your bigotry to the side and say, hey, we got to work together. But make sure we got to put our bigotry aside. But do not let these people win. Like I always say, do not let the corporate parasites set the terms. Whenever they set the terms, they are telling you who your enemy is. Never let your enemy tell you who your enemy should be. That's what this whole thing is. They're telling you, oh, well, this should be your enemy. Don't let them set the terms. You set the terms. You look at who's the one who's actually reaching into your pockets and taking your money out of your pockets. You look at who's taking you out of your home. Who's keeping you out on the street? Who is that? And I guarantee you, it's none of the people who they tell you to demonize. It's typically the ones that live in places like the Hamptons and Calabasas, and they wear $5,000 suits and they go to boardrooms. It's usually those people, and they tell the Democrats and Republicans what to do. So keep your eyes on the ball, people. Never let them tell you who your enemy is. And for Trump, thoughts and prayers? Anywho, go ahead and like the stream. Thank you very much. Yeah. So let me go to the chat really quick just to see the poll. If you guys have not taken the poll, go ahead and go ahead. Let me see. Oh, come on now. Oh, no. All right. Just want to make sure. So let me go here. All right. Let's take a look at the poll. So out of 662 votes, do you think this attack on Trump was staged? 20% say yes, 38% say no, 16% said not sure, and 26% said, who cares? Let's end this system. Baby, I'm number 4. I'm like, who cares? Let's end this system. That's honestly what I think. But yeah, that's the result so far. If you guys haven't taken it, go ahead and take it. I'm sure it can change just a little bit. But yes. let me go into the chat just to see what you guys are saying. I know y'all had some things to say. All right. We're going to start off in the Rockfin. Why? Because I don't like to miss Rockfin. And I'll check Rumble for a Rumble rant to see if anybody says anything there too. But yes, let's go here. All right. So thank you for the tip on Rockfin, Roger Meadows. All right. The Data Master says, 1, reason why they're coming out like this is because they don't want it happening to them. 2, as long as parties exist, we have to depend on politicians to get it done. You'll never get what you want the way you want it. Direct democracy over the economy and in government via worker co-ops and citizen ballot initiatives with public banks, the path we must go to get there. 3, speaking of workers, you did the foreign breaking news. Now time for domestic. Pete DM for that Taco Bell? For Taste Bell. So I'll take a look at that afterwards. Now, let's go in. Actually, let me check the Rumble just real quick because I don't want to miss that. And by the way, I had to do a whole new Rumble stream, guys. I'm sorry. The reason being is because for some reason it wasn't working. So I had to end it and I had to remake a whole new one. So apologies for that. But I'm glad I got the Rumble stream up and running. But so as far as Rumble, I don't see any Rumble rants. So we're good there. All right. And then we will go to the chat. Roger Middle says, JB, if you want the real for real, I suggest Professor Griff next time. He was always to the left of the group where it got him kicked out for speaking out against the Zionist Jews. Interesting. Thank you very much for that. I'll be looking into that. I saw your DM. Fern says they will do this to Biden and blame it on a Trumper. Interesting. Interesting. All right. Let me see here. Andy Pan says, one thing is Jay's health must be good these days. He's really animated and passionate today. Go to him, but resist the clickbait stuff, Lord Jay. Yeah, actually, I went to the gym earlier. I kicked my own ass. But yeah. But this clickbait, I don't understand where you're coming from. This is, honestly, stuff like this happens is, the corporate dictators actually use this to divide people. And I'm actually saying for everybody to start uniting, in class solidarity, especially workers against these people, because they're going to continuously keep us divided so that we hate one another. I think that's the point that I tried to make. I hope I made that point quite adequately clear, but thank you very much. Cobra Commander says the contradictions are sky high. Absolutely. Tori J says all that ish talking, both sides of the same coin due to each other is theatrics, like someone said, kayfabe. Ani Shah says, meanwhile, bombs fall on Palestine. Yep, that's why it's important for us to keep in mind what's going on the ground. Shivani says, who pays Trump's bodyguards? The government. Could have absolutely been a false flag. The thing is, though, Trump is a former president, and when you served in office at that high of a level like Trump has, you also still keep Secret Service. So he does have Secret Service. So those are literally government employees. You see. Jude Bearer says the picture is cartoonishly fake photo op. Half a dozen SS Secret Service agents who don't rush him into the SUV but let him pose for a photo op. Yeah, that to me is like, Tori J says the bad acting is infuriating. At least make it look like y'all aren't reading from this exact same script. Some people think it may have been, just acting. Let me see. Cat Terrell says, come on, copycats. Oh, gosh. David says most of the people at Trump rallies aren't poor workers. But there are workers. I mean, the thing is like, I'll give you an example. Most of the people that are part of the Orlando chapter are, for all intents and purposes, PMC, except for me. Meaning they make decent money. They are workers, but they're not poor like me. And yet they have class solidarity and wanting to change the system from the ground up. Some people who are workers, they do not realize that they're actually working against their own interests. Even though they may not be poor workers, they may have workers with a little bit of coin, but they still are bamboozled by the duopoly into thinking that, oh, well, if I just go with Trump, my material conditions will get better. When in reality, Trump is not going to improve the material conditions. Biden is not going to improve the material conditions. Nobody coming out of the Republican Party is going to do it, and nobody coming out of the Democratic Party is going to do it. Really, the material conditions getting better actually depends upon us, truthfully and honestly. And so this also means people who may be working class, but they have a little bit of a financial cushion, they need to look at us who are poor workers and actually unite with us and say, we're all tired of being exploited. So they're still workers, to be honest with you. Luke's right. Luke says we are more like each other than we'll ever be like the ruling class anywhere. I completely agree. Let me see. I want to make sure. Oh, ACAPS has number 4 here. Yeah. I honestly do think so. Yeah. Let me see. This is a good question, Truth Bearer. For those who think it was real, what is your most convincing reason? Yeah, guys, what's your most convincing reason that you think it was real? I'm kind of in the middle. I'm gonna be honest with you. But part of me is like, you know what? Either if it's real or if it's fake, it doesn't matter. What really matters is the fact that they're keeping the division of the workers. You know what I'm saying? That's ultimately what it is. Whether it's kayfabe or it's actually something that truly happened, it's a ploy to keep the workers divided. Let me see. Sonic says it's disgusting to say it's not real because real people died. And that's the point. That's another point. I honestly think that real people did die. And so I think this is also being used as an opportunity. I honestly think Trump fundraising off of this is also disgusting because since real people died, it should not be fundraised off of. But that's what they're going to do. And even in deaths, people are still being exploited. So my thing is whether it is or whether it isn't real, we need to look past it and just be. You can look past it and say that this is really just a division. And they're using this to continuously keep that division alive. You see. Baby goes hard in the paint, says Jaybe, I seen the pictures taken and you zoom in between Secret Service legs and you can see his face while time and it was bleeding from the jump. Okay. Carlos Pena says Washington, D.C. sees people at home and abroad as their personal cannon fodder. So my thing is that ultimately we got to focus more on looking at the people who are using events like this to manipulate in order to keep us divided. Because it is not going to the division makes them money, man. That's what it does. The division makes them money. The division keeps them in power. That's ultimately what I'm trying to say. My condolences to the families who have lost a loved one. That's one thing I definitely will say. So, let me check before I go. All right. And check for Rumble Rants. I think we're good. All right. Looks like we're good. All right. So I'm going to head on out. It is almost 3, which means it is my time to go. Yes. So I'm going to go and man, I'm exhausted. I went to the gym today, but on my channel, be sure to tune in. I will continue in the reading. I got to get into the next book, Presidential by Margaret Kimberly. So if you guys would like to, you guys can go to my channel and I will be continuing the reading of that. And then I'll be doing news stories on my channel this Tuesday. So yes. And then also, I think I have a guest. I think I have a guest this third. No Savvy and Jaybe show this week. Because Savvy is going on vacation, so I will be doing a live stream on Thursday on my channel instead, since there's no Savvy and Jaybe show this Thursday. So just let you guys know, no Savvy and Jaybe show. All right. Now, after that, I just want to give a shout out to the patrons on Patreon before we go. Without you guys, we would not be able to do this type of work. We are doing the best we can with what we got, and we're trying to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. And of course, soon, within a few weeks, we will be doing more direct action on the ground here in Orlando. So I will be giving you guys the information on that as I get it out to you guys. You guys can stay tuned to the channel as well as on all the socials, to know what we'll be doing and where we'll be doing it. So it's going to be, I can say this much, it will be on August 4th, which is a Sunday. So that's where we're going to be at, and doing mutual aid for our unhoused neighbors. So thank you so very much to everybody for being a patron on Patreon. Without you guys, we would not be able to do this work. And yeah, we really definitely appreciate you. And if you guys would like to, you guys can also go to the Patreon. That's in the description below as well. So I'm going to head out. I got to get going, but you guys are funny in the chat. But thank you so very much to everybody for tuning in. Water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. And look, keep your eyes peeled for what's going on outside of what's viral, outside of what's trending, because a lot of times a crisis that's happening, these parasites do not let a good crisis go to waste. Always look at what it's kind of like if you're a parent and if your kids are really quiet, you know something's wrong. Right? Make sure to check on other stuff when big stuff like this happens. So, yeah. Take care, everyone. Mwah, forehead kisses to all of you. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you guys on my channel on Tuesday at 2. Deuces, Bruces.